Do you want to make this Christmas the year you didn't overeat and overdrink? Then keep listening because this is definitely for you. Before I get into what you need to do, first of all, you need to have some awareness of how the brain works. More importantly, that primitive part of your brain. It literally is that every single human has a brain in their head, believe it or not. And I'm talking functional adult here, so over 25, really, maybe from 20, um, fully functioning. And the human brain is very complex. And I just simplify it right down to the primal part of our brain and then the higher part of our brain, our modern prefrontal cortex. Very simplified. And the primal brain is like a toddler with a knife. This is where our ego comes in. Um, this is where our instant kind of programming comes in. And it has the average age of a 3 to 5 year old. This is the loud voice that's in your head, right? That loud, stroppy sometimes. I want all the, I was going to go beer, but I don't drink beer. But like, I want all the chocolate, I want all the wine, and I want it now, just like a toddler. That primitive part of our brain only wants instant gratification. And um, any delay in that gratification will it doesn't give a shit about. I mean, so what I mean by delay is if you chug a couple of glasses of wine and then the next day you wake up with a hangover, your primal brain does not associate that drinking activity with the negative consequence. It just wants the instant gratification. It doesn't care about the delayed consequence because of the delay. It doesn't associate the two. If you drank something and instantly threw up, your primal brain would be like, that wasn't good. Let's not do it again. But it doesn't think beyond a couple of minutes, literally like a toddler or a reptile. um, so understanding that this is not an excuse. This is not a reason to beat yourself up or judge yourself or criticize yourself. This is a reason to have compassion. It's a reason to go, of course, my brain wants to keep eating all the food. Of course, it keeps wanting every sweet out of the quality street tin. Of course, it wants to have more alcohol and more alcohol and more alcohol. Of course, it does. But your primal brain isn't in charge. If you're in a life or death situation, you probably want to listen to it. But this is completely the opposite. This is actually a life enhancing situation. So we want to be engaging our prefrontal cortex. And this is the most amazing part of your brain that enables you to think rationally, decide ahead of time, and plan for the future. So your primal brain wants the instant gratification. Your higher brain can give you a long-term gratification when you listen to it. And this is the problem. Most of us don't listen to it. Most of us are just in the moment being governed by our primal brain. So you must have, if you've been listening to me for a while, you would have heard me telling you to name your primal brain. So mine's called Sue, and I know that Sue wants to eat all of the sweets out of the celebration tin. I know she wants to do that. I'm I'm over my drinking, so she doesn't ever really ask me to drink. So that's easy. I'm over that now. But sugar is still a thing that we have to deal with. But because I've done this work, because I'm in charge most of the time now, I am able to have one sweet out of the quality tin and leave the rest. And that blows my mind because I was not that person. I promise you, I would eat and eat and eat until I felt sick and then still eat more. And then I would just sit there judging myself for not being able to stop. So, looking at the Christmas or the holiday season, if this year you actually want to get to January and think, oh, okay, I actually feel good. If you want to give yourself this gift this year, this is what you can do. get a pen, get a piece of paper, and decide now what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, and how much of both and when. Because when you think ahead of time, you're using your prefrontal cortex, and your prefrontal cortex will always serve you. So it gives you the best advice because it knows the consequences of our actions. Your primal brain doesn't. So this is what I do. I write down Christmas Eve. I don't need to include alcohol because that I just don't do that anymore. But I write down, right, what am I having for breakfast, if anything? What am I going to have for lunch? How many roast potatoes do I want to enjoy? How many? And I plan in like I'm going to have some chocolate. I'm going to have some cheese and chutneys. I'm going to have that because I don't want to. We don't want to plan like a dickhead, right? I don't know. My husband is in the time hacker community. Vicky Louise, brilliant coach. If you want to look at doing more in less time. And this is one of her principles, right? Don't plan like a dickhead. Your future self has to deal with whatever you come up with today. So, like, plan with a bit of compassion. If you like to have a glass of wine, give yourself permission to have a glass of wine or two, or even 10 if you want to, but make that decision consciously. Make that decision consciously. So make a plan and write the plan down. And the reason why you want to write it down is because then you don't go into an argument when the time comes. Because I promise you, when the time comes, your brain is going to try and get you to continue drinking and eating. I guarantee you it will do that. So knowing that ahead of time and expecting that ahead of time, I'm sorry, the sun's coming out. So now I've just gone glowing. Um, when you expect it, you have a bit more control over it. Like, of course, brain, of course, you're here to try and get me to eat more and drink more. But I've made my decision. And here's the reason why. Because I actually, and then tell yourself, I really don't want to feel shit. So I'm in charge now, primal brain. Thank you. I'm making the decisions. And this is what I used to say to myself all the time when I was learning this work. And I still have to remind myself of this now. Is when Sue kicks off because she wants to eat all the quality streets. I'm like, yeah, Sue, I hear you. Sue's my primal brain, by the way. I hear you. But Nikki's in charge. Nikki doesn't want to feel shit tomorrow. So we're going to have one and we're going to leave the rest. Or we're going to have two and leave the rest. Whatever you've planned. And then what happens is in that moment, first of all, your brain will probably have a little tantrum about that, and that's okay. Just notice that with absolute fascination and amusement. I do. And then you have to sit in a like in an uncomfortable moment where you're experiencing the urge to eat or drink more, and you're having that conversation. No, I'm in charge. I want to feel good. And don't try and force that emotion away. Just like melt into it, surrender to it, allow yourself to feel the urge and don't respond to it. Choose not to. I'm so sorry about the sun. Choose not to. Sorry, not sorry, because it's beautiful. Choose not to respond to it. That would be an amazing gift to give yourself. And then that temporary discomfort, which will ease, by the way, it doesn't last like any of our emotions, they do not last. It will ease. And then you have the long-term comfort of not having a hangover, of not feeling like shit, of not putting on all the weight again. So I'm going to run those 3 tips by you again. Plan ahead, write down what you're going to eat and drink. Expect your primal brain to have a stop in the moment. Sit in the discomfort. Don't respond to it. And then you get to enjoy the longer term comfort afterwards. And listen, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do it, first of all, that's a lie that your brain's giving you. Of course, it's going to tell you you can't do it because one, you've probably never done it before. And two, it doesn't want you to not eat all the stuff. So just acknowledge that. And two, Come and speak to me because this is what I do. I help my clients to manage their mind. I help my clients to learn how to deal with their emotions so that they don't hold themselves back from becoming who they want to be and experiencing their life in a way that they actually want to experience. So if what you've heard today resonates with you and you like my energy, I invite you to book a consult with me. Come and speak to me. We'll have a chat, just like I'm doing now. I'll ask you some questions. We'll find out why you are where you currently are. And that is a revelation in itself. Even if you don't choose to work with me, you will come away from that call with a better understanding of who you are. So why don't you give yourself that gift this Christmas? Have an amazing week, and I'll speak to you all again.